Mission Impossible Fallout is the 6th installment in this Mission Impossible franchise that has been going on for... how long's it been? About 20 plus years? I, for one, am amazed Tom Cruise has stuck around for that long. Now, when it comes to the Mission Impossible franchise, I didn't really start out as a big fan of it. The first 3 movies, they didn't really do a whole lot for me. I wasn't that excited about them. I didn't have that much fun with them. The first 3 for me aren't really anything special. And I saw Mission Impossible Ghost Protocol in 2011, and I was like, wow, that was fucking awesome. I guess you could say that's when I started to become more of a believer and a fan in this franchise. And then in 2015, we got Mission Impossible Rogue Nation, which I also loved, and which also started to get me think, you know what, maybe Mission Impossible has found its rhythm. I'm here to say right now with Mission Impossible Fallout, it definitely has. This movie, in my opinion, is the best movie in the Mission Impossible franchise. I absolutely loved this movie. In the beginning of the movie, you do see that Fallout is taking the similar direction that most of these Mission Impossible movies take. There's a group of terrorists, they're going after some nukes, Ethan Hunt and his team, they're the only ones who can stop them. Except what I appreciate in the very beginning of this movie is you see Ethan with Benji and Luther, and they're trying to intercept this terrorist team to get the nukes taken from them, and it comes a point when they have the chance to leave with the nukes. One of the terrorists gets Luther, threatens to kill him if they don't hand over the nukes, so Ethan makes a tough call. He saves Luther's life at the cost of the nukes getting taken from them. For me, I like seeing that vulnerability with Ethan Hunt. I like seeing that in this movie he's gonna have to make some tough calls. Because Alec Baldwin addresses with him later, it's like, you chose one life over millions, now we're all at risk. Of course, this now means that Ethan has to go back after these terrorists, they gotta get those nukes back, except this time the CIA has assigned Henry Cavill to work alongside him. So now Ethan Hunt and Henry Cavill, they have to break into this fundraiser party. They have to stop someone who goes by the name of John Lark because he's preparing to do business with this terrorist group. Apparently trying to do business with this broker who works with them known as the White Widow because she's intending to sell the nukes to him. So they're thinking, we'll bust in, we'll knock him out, we'll impersonate as him, we'll get the nukes. Mission accomplished. This right here involves them halo jumping into the building so no one will catch them. You guys want to talk about the action in this movie? Good, because we're going to talk about the action in this movie because holy fucking shit, the action in this movie is amazing. I mean, even the first scene when Ethan Hunt and his team first intercept the terrorists and they get the nukes taken away from them, that scene was definitely entertaining. But it's right here in the halo jump, you really see that the action in this movie is going to be on a different level. I mean, Ethan Hunt and Henry Cavill, they're up in a plane, they jump out of it, and along the way, Henry Cavill gets like struck by lightning or something, so he's knocked out, he can't activate his chute. So now Ethan Hunt has to like skydive his way over to him to save his life so he doesn't, you know, crash into the building and die. I mean, he's able to grab him, he's able to activate his chutes, you know, the both of them survive and they can continue the mission, but that whole scene when I was watching it, I was on the edge of my seat, I couldn't breathe, I was white-knuckling it to my seat the whole time. And not even 3 minutes after that, you think now you can calm down a little bit, you can take a breath. But, you know, they go into the bathroom, and they encounter who is supposed to be John Lark, or someone they at least suspect to be John Lark, and literally this guy gets into an all-out brawl with both of them. And let me tell you something, people, this motherfucker could fight. I mean, the 3 of them, they're all just throwing each other through walls, they're kicking the shit out of each other, they're going all jujitsu and karate on each other. It's insane. It was intense, it went on for a while, and at no point I was bored with this fight. It was just... it was so intense, it was entertaining, it's what you want! And eventually John Lark gets killed by Rebecca Ferguson, so now Ethan Hunt can go to talk to the White Widow as, you know, impersonating John Lark. But here the White Widow explains to Ethan Hunt that she has a price for giving up the nukes, the plutonium. She says she will hand over the plutonium, all of it, if they deliver her Solomon Lane. Solomon Lane was the terrorist that they stopped at the end of the last movie, and he's been arrested, so now it's like they gotta go break him out and then deliver him over to her. Now we get another really intense, sick action scene here. MI6, they have to go after Solomon Lane, they're going after this armored truck, you know, they're on these motorcycles, just taking out basically everyone they can in order to get to him. And at one point, Ethan Hunt just saves a French police officer by literally taking out 3 guys with 3 shots. It is right here, though, that you do see that friction in the group is gonna be a little bit tested right now because we find out that Rebecca Ferguson was specifically assigned to hunt down Solomon Lane and kill him. And now Ethan Hunt's like, you can't do that. We have to hand him over to the White Widow in order to save the world. But she's like, can the White Widow be trusted? It's just a moment of dialogue between the 2 of them that just draws a line in the sand. It's like, alright, we can't work together right now. And it's like, if I have to kill you, I'll do it. Eventually the group does capture Solomon Lane, but it's around this point. It's throughout this movie, really, but it's right here in particular, Alec Baldwin especially, begins to suspect that Ethan Hunt may be the real John Locke. I mean, Henry Cavill points out some compelling evidence that may suggest that Ethan Hunt really could be. They've shown at points how, Ethan Hunt ended up being the one who did meet with the White Widow under that alias. But it turns out the real purpose of Henry Cavill was to go along with Ethan Hunt, so that way, if he ever did betray them, he would kill him. But oops, it turns out right here, we discover that Henry Cavill is in cahoots with Solomon Lane. He has a conversation with him, talking about how he's the real John Locke, and this is all part of a plan they have together with the nukes. Turns out, though, Benji's a fucking genius, and he had been wearing a mask the whole time to impersonate a Solomon Lane so they could get the evidence they needed to expose Henry Cavill. So now the movie has you thinking, alright, he's busted, it's over, the mission has really been accomplished now, CIA is gonna take him in. But it turns out the members of the CIA team that was sent to apprehend them, they work for Henry Cavill as those terrorists. So after a long scene of Ethan Hunt just literally running after Henry Cavill the whole time, I want to know how long that shot was of Ethan Hunt just running. But granted, Tom Cruise runs in all of his movies, but this is probably one of the better running scenes I've seen of Tom Cruise. What sucks though is Henry Cavill was able to escape with Solomon Lane. They're on their way to Kashmir to finish the plan, and he also warns Ethan Hunt. He's like, hey, I'll go after your wife if need be. Because it turns out here in Kashmir, Ethan Hunt's wife, or I guess just say ex-wife because he left her to protect her, she's now remarried to another doctor in that medical camp. We find out that Solomon's plans with the nukes is to set them off here to contaminate Asia's water supply, and that's gonna kill a lot of people. And Benji explains how this plan is really complicated. They're like, we have to get the detonator from Henry Cavill. At the same time, these nukes are synchronized, so if we defuse one, the other will detonate, so they both have to be defused while this countdown to the explosion is going on. And also the fuse for the detonator has to be pulled as well, otherwise the weapons are just gonna detonate. So now it's up to Luther, Benji, and Rebecca Ferguson to defuse these bombs while Ethan Hunt goes after Henry Cavill to get the detonator. I'm just saying, in terms of finishing out the movie with an action scene, this is exactly how you do it. Let's even start with the smaller stuff, the crew just trying to defuse these bombs. I mean, this stuff is really intense in itself because it's those moments in movies where it's like, if you cut the wrong wire, this whole thing's gonna explode and everyone's gonna die. Luther and Ethan's ex-wife are able to defuse one bomb, now Benji and Rebecca Ferguson have to defuse the other. Except what makes that tough is now Lane is in an all-out brawl with the two of them. He almost kills Benji by hanging him. But yeah, second movie in a row where Simon Pegg has almost died. Rebecca Ferguson, she stops Lane because she's badass, and then she frees Benji, and now they're prepared to do work on the bomb. Yeah, you guys don't want me to talk about that. You want me to talk about the fucking helicopter scene. It comes down to this. Ethan Hunt has to go after Henry Cavill. They're both in choppers. They're both just essentially having a dogfight in the sky now. I think it's safe to say, we really gotta give Tom Cruise the credit he does for this stunt work. I mean, holy shit. Look at one point, to get onto a chopper, he's gonna just climb this rope while the chopper is, what, like 30,000 feet in the air? At one point, he slips and nearly falls to his death. I'm just like, how are you doing this? And more importantly, how are you doing this without shitting your pants? That's the thing right there. Whether you love or hate Tom Cruise, the stunts he does is ridiculous. At one point, Ethan Hunt's just able to knock Henry Cavill's chopper out of the sky. They both land on a mountain. They're trying to avoid debris. They're now fighting with each other to try to get the detonator. Really, it reaches the point, the detonator is hanging on the edge of the cliff. At this point, Benji and Rebecca Ferguson, they're ready to cut the final wire. They're ready to end this. But they can't do that until the fuse to the detonator has been pulled. And right now, it's just stuck on a ledge, and Ethan Hunt and Henry Cavill are both hanging by the chain from one of these choppers, trying to get up to the cliff. At one point, the chain is slowly slipping off the cliff. You think they're both gonna die, and you're just like, oh my gosh, the detonator's gonna go off, everyone's gonna die! Eventually, Henry Cavill just slips and falls to his death. Ethan's now just climbing a mountain, trying to get to the detonator, and right when it strikes zero... Actually, no, I fucked up there. It didn't strike zero. It's like around the 2-second mark. Rebecca Ferguson and Benji are just like, alright, we're gonna have to cut this wire and just hope to God he pulled that fuse. They cut the wire, and at first, the movie turns into a very bright white light. You think, oh shit, he didn't get to it. It went off. Everyone died. But thankfully, with about, I want to say, a second left, Ethan Hunt was able to pull the fuse. Everyone was saved. It's like, holy shit. Yeah, the movie ends, everyone is saved. Turns out the White Widow was in affiliation with MI6, so when Lane's over to her, you know he's gonna get apprehended. And yeah, that's where this movie wraps up. So all in all, Mission Impossible Fallout was awesome. Tom Cruise, once again, kills it in this movie as Ethan Hunt. He's a badass. He's awesome. It's just insane to see that he does his own stunt work. Literally, he's climbed a Dubai Tower. He's hung from an airplane. And this one, he scaled a fucking helicopter. It's like, what's he gonna do next? Watch, the next movie is gonna be Mission Impossible in space, and it's him just, you know, surviving outside of a rocket ship. The rest of the crew was awesome. Rebecca Ferguson, she was badass once again. Simon Pegg and Vin Rames, it's great to see them back. I really loved Henry Cavill's character in this movie. I loved the rivalry he provided to Tom Cruise. I thought he was a really good villain for this movie. He wasn't the villain, but Solomon Lane, as essentially the villain, he was awesome too. I liked seeing Ethan Hunt get tested a little bit more as a character in the beginning of this movie, in the middle of the movie. Throughout this movie, you see it's going to be more of an emotional battle for him than it has been in recent Mission Impossible movies. The action in this movie is exhilarating, it's exciting, it's a blast. What I loved about this action too, it wasn't really green screen, it wasn't really visual effects. It was real action. It was practical effects. Including the chase scenes, climbing the helicopter, the dogfight. It just... everything in this movie was real. This stuff actually did happen. This movie has probably some of the best straight-up action I've seen in a movie since Mad Max Fury Road. In the end, this is everything you could want from a Mission Impossible movie. It's fun, it's exciting, great characters, great thrills, a great story, great conflict. And in the end, this is, in my opinion, the best Mission Impossible movie we have ever gotten, and it may very well be the best movie I've seen so far this year. I will evaluate that more as the year goes on, as we get closer to me doing my top 10 best list of 2018, but this movie was just so fucking awesome. I'm so glad this ended up being what it was. So that's all I gotta say, guys. Thank you so much for watching my video. Don't forget to leave a comment, like, subscribe, and I will see you all next time.